Good morning, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project, Magnetic Reversal News, and Shinrin Yoku, bringing you a grand solar minimum update Wednesday, September 21st, around 11 a.m. Mountain Time 2022. There is a serious tropical threat that could be brewing for the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico later next week, showing up as a Cat 3 storm making landfall somewhere in here. We also have huge hail in Wisconsin. But the big story, Hurricane Fiona slams Turks and Caicos as a Cat 3 storm and heads for Bermuda as a Cat 4. Keep calm. It's boom time. Hurricane Fiona strengthens to a Cat 4. New tropical system may threaten Florida. We'll get to both of those in today's update. Things are getting busier in the Atlantic with another system that's heading towards the Gulf of Mexico, while the National Weather Service is watching a tropical wave east of the southern Windward Islands that is likely to become a tropical depression, and we'll cover all that. Fiona is, here are some of the after effects. We can just take a look at some of the flooding here in the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico. A sad state of affairs in the tropics, and it doesn't look like these types of storms are ending anytime soon. In fact, the tropics have become quite active, as a matter of fact, and you will believe that when we go through and look at the models. Now, here's Puerto Rico, days after Fiona passed by, and still over 1 million people without power. Now, I read a report that said most of the power would come on today, Wednesday, but I don't see any evidence of that, as Puerto Rico is still in the dark. As we come over here to Zoom Earth, we can see the current position of Fiona. Maximum sustained winds at 130 miles per hour. I like Zoom Earth because it shows you where the storm began, the date, you can track it. And this is the area in question, Invest 98L, that should pick up strength, move right up through here between Cuba and the Yucatan, and strengthen right here in the Gulf of Mexico, either hitting the Panhandle, potentially Mississippi, Louisiana, all that. Is at play here. And we have the remnants of Madeline, just a tropical depression now, feeding moisture all the way up into Canada here and through the Four Corners region, where there are flash flood warnings out for Arizona, Utah, Colorado, and New Mexico. So heads up in those regions. Now here's the serious tropical threat that could be brewing for the Caribbean. We'll show you some of the models. This is what we opened the podcast on. The current model is showing it as a Cat 1 hurricane by the time it passes the Dominican Republic, as it approaches Honduras. Cat 3 by the time it's maybe going over the tip of Cuba there. Now, it's very early on in the process, but you can see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tropical storms or disturbances in the Atlantic alone. Disturbance number 3 has a 30% chance. This one has a 50% chance, and this is 90% chance of boom time as it comes up in here through the Gulf. Gaston, currently at 65 miles per hour. Whoops. Model just disappeared. All right, so we're going to play this through. There goes Fiona up there, as the GFS model is going to run that tropical storm right up and over Cuba. 927 millibars at the low, and then landfall on the Panhandle there. Looks like landfall is right at the triple junction of Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. So heads up if you're in that region. These are early models, and then it goes right up the East Coast there. Tons of flooding rain. That could be devastating. So prepare yourself, East Coast, for what could be a Hurricane Floyd type scenario, where you get the Schuylkill River flooding or any of those major rivers up and down the East Coast. It could be quite devastating. So now the good news is that the models keep moving this east. And if it comes up in the center of the country, none of that will happen to the East Coast. So stay tuned to the channel for the current updates. Now let's take a look at some of the tracks. Let's take a look at the current track for Gaston. It's going to spin around here, maybe head over to Africa or Europe. Oh. Let's look at 98L. This is the one that's going to be coming up here either over Cuba or through the pass here and up into the Gulf. So those are the current spaghetti models for Invest 98L. And Invest 96, I don't even know where that is. Take a look at that. It's right off of Africa. So that's coming our way as well. Now, what's interesting is they do not have Fiona on this. So here we are at the warning cone for Fiona, and it currently is a major hurricane expected to stay Cat 4 storm as it approaches Bermuda to the west, and it is tracking further and further west of Bermuda, but it's going to come up here towards Newfoundland and Canada and maybe make landfall here just west or just east of Halifax. So heads up if you're up in Canada here, this storm is coming your way. Now let's look at the key message for Fiona as of now. Hurricane conditions are possible and tropical storm conditions are expected on Bermuda by late Thursday. Fiona is expected to affect portions of Atlantic Canada as a powerful hurricane force cyclone late Friday and Saturday and could produce significant impacts from high winds, storm surge, and heavy rainfall. Interests in these areas should closely monitor the progress of Fiona and updates to the forecast. So stay tuned to the channel. It's not supposed to hit Canada until this weekend, Saturday morning potentially, and it will be by Bermuda late Thursday. So be prepared. Now, high winds and quarter-size hail could be happening right now as storms move across Michigan, especially up near Alpena in the north. And there have been some amazing hail reports coming out. Here's the hail report I got this morning from Tuesday, September 20th. Possible housing impact nationwide. Take a look at this, 51,000 hail reports in fall. This is more like a spring number, but 47,000 hail reports between 1 and 1.5 inch, 3,426 between 1.75 and 2.25, and we're going to show you some pictures from Wisconsin that definitely exceed 2.25 inches from yesterday, as large hail smashes cars and pounds homes in Wisconsin Tuesday night. So here we can see some 2-inch and 1-inch hailstones. Take a look at this. This baby is, well, pretty significant if you want to ask me. And so we'll just go to the tweet box here and see if we can get one of these pictures up there. That is a significant hailstone, maybe 4 inches. And here we see some baseball-sized hail in River Falls, Wisconsin at 8:45 p.m. Some of them with spikes on it. Let's blow that up. So these are the biggest stones coming from Wisconsin on Tuesday night, and that could certainly ruin your evening. Helmets, anyone? Excessive rainfall potential for the Southwest. Severe weather possible for the lower Great Lakes. Excessive rainfall potential across portions of the Southwest may lead to flash flooding impacts today. Take a look at all these counties in flash flood warning and watch. Dozens, maybe hundreds. More record high temperatures are forecast for the southern and southeastern areas of the country through Thursday as dangerous rip currents and swells for the East Coast due to Hurricane Fiona. So heads up if you're in these pink boxes, all the way from Maine down to Central Florida. Be aware of those rip currents. They will suck your little puppy right out into the ocean. Seismic update. No quakes to note. The biggest quake is the one we reported on yesterday that happened as we were making the show, the 6 magnitude in Kamchatka. Nothing else significant happening. Some activity here in the mid-ocean ridge. But all is quiet on the Western Front. Worldwide volcano news update. Same goes for the volcanic activity worldwide. Kilauea got a little spunky yesterday as a seismic swarm and ground deformation led to lava spilling out as the effusive eruption is ongoing at Kilauea. We also have Popo, Sangay, Swanosima, Nevados de Ruiz, Sabancaya, Reventador, and White Island. Some minor ash emissions happening there. So let's head over to space weather where all is quiet on the sun. We have an active region turning in. And this is probably related to this coronal hole, which will now couple with us in just any time now. We're waiting for a phi angle shift. Something is definitely happening there. And we could see increased plasma density and speed. So that's not happening now. It's actually dropping. But when the BZ, the phi angle shifts, and the density rises, the speed will follow, and it will be that coronal hole stream pushing us potentially. Here's the detailed forecast into KP5, let's say. And that's going to be happening in just about 12 to 24 hours. So stay tuned for more updates as we inform you about a meteor shower that's set to start in days and will last for 2 months. And this is none other than the Orionids, which are the remnants of Halley's Comet. Now, the Orionid meteor shower will start on September 26th and last until November 22nd, but it will peak overnight between October 20th and the 21st, with the moon at 21% full. So pretty good viewing opportunity. To find the meteor shower, just look in the direction of the constellation Orion. So it's that simple. While 10 to 20 meteors per hour is the norm when it comes to the Orionids, some rare years have brought more meteors across the sky at a rate of about 50 to 75. But this has not been the case in recent years, so let's look up and hope for the best. Tick-tock, September 23rd fast approaches. Will the sun unleash a Carrington-like blast from that active region? We shall see, but unknown objects in the sky were spotted from areas in Colorado on Tuesday, and they refer to them as huge fireballs. The only problem with this is that they witnessed them for over 10 minutes, and they barely moved. So when I initially heard that, and I also heard that it was early in the morning as the sun was rising, I knew that these were contrails being illuminated in such a way that people who have not witnessed this would be confused. Well, the resolution is horrendous. So what you can see here is the quote-unquote fireballs, but they're not in fact dropping at all. They're stationary, and what's in front of them are planes, here, here, and here. So the planes are not visible, and only the portion of the contrail that's low in the atmosphere that's getting hit by the rising sun is visible. So the planes are all flying to the left. And I've seen this before. There you can see one of the planes, right there. And that's the contrail that's being illuminated by the sun. There's the plane off screen. Let's move this up here. Okay. They're just showing the fireball because they want it to be a fireball. But it in fact is a contrail that is being illuminated by the sun. So. You want to be healthy? The best way to be healthy is to feed your microbiome, your gut. We've been saying this for years. Some have listened, some have not. The easiest way to feed your gut is to eat whole raw foods, including locally sourced leafy greens and vegetables, and increased organic spices and nuts into your diet as well. Local meats, fermented foods, ferment your own vegetables, lacto-ferment with a little salt. All these things will keep you healthy, wealthy, and wise. And that's a boom to knowledge. Proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. We were a little off center there. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Share this with like-minded people. Support the work we do and become a Patreon. Or be a hero and share this video. We love you. Be safe, and that's a boom.